Hello, everyone. I will be right back. I forgot to set up the music, but I'll be back in a few minutes. See you soon. All right. I am back. Thank you guys so much for waiting. It is our Sunday stream with Sound Engraver. Thank you so much. I know it's a little bit later starting at the 6 o'clock hour instead of in the 5 o'clock hour. Oh, one thing. I gotta get one more thing. All right, I am back. So let's go ahead and take this banner down. Second Chances, my original track. You can get it on my website, soundengraver.com. Let me take this off here and check in with the comments. Everything, okay, audio is loud and clear. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is the video. Let's see how that looks. All right, we are in business. Looks clear to me, so that should work. Yes, this will be a stream of a few topics today. I didn't really have one specific thing to talk about, and frankly, this may well be the format of my streams going forward, unless I have something really pressing on my mind to speak on. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, AI, and the internet in general, and hopefully I'll, portion it, relatively equal as far as duration is concerned. Who knows, though? I will say one thing, though. I haven't had a lot of proper sleep in the last few nights due to my silliness, working on my music in the wee hours of the night. And so I'm a little sleep deprived. So that might translate. You might see it on the screen, but just giving you a little bit of a warning. But I think I feel good about what to talk about. We'll talk about a Star Wars EU book, really just a pretty much overview, I would say. I'm no spoilers, really. I just want to talk about how much I loved it personally. I won't go over this arc or any of the events that take place, just things like impressions and themes, all that good stuff. And then we'll talk about AI, really just an article I read from this writer called the what is his name? The Honest Broker. I spelled something else in my head that wasn't appropriate. The Honest Broker. So, and his name is Ted Gioia. I think he's a really interesting guy. He's in his 60s. I think he was once a jazz musician. Then he got into more of the marketing space, and then he pretty much writes things on pop culture in general or technology. So music, pop culture, technology. So he has an article that I can speculate on AI, because we love talking about that stuff. And then just the internet and what I've come to observe about people. I won't name any names, but just how people react on the internet over time. So that's always fun. But it's going to be really talking about the integrity of a person, whether you're a YouTuber or a commentator, whatever the case is. It's all about maintaining your integrity. So let's get into the chat, see how you guys are doing. My prof, wonderful channel member says, sweet looking thumbnail. So I might actually want to talk about a couple things before getting into actually the chat before I forget. I might just keep the same thumbnail for my streams going forward. I like being creative, but the thing is, excuse me, creating thumbnails sometimes can take time. Sometimes can take, at least for me, just to get everything right and looking good, can take up to like 30 minutes to an hour. It's kind of hard to admit that, but I'm pretty particular and I want to make sure it conveys exactly what I talk about on the stream. However, with that time, that's an hour I can spend on music or writing or what have you, or cleaning, doing household chores. And I thought, well, maybe just keep the same thumbnail and just change the title. I love the red lines. I love lines. I love geometry, and I love the color red. I think red looks good for a YouTube a thumbnail, more than blue or yellow or green. I love those colors too, but I just like red. Red just pops out. So I'm probably going to keep that thumbnail just to see how it works. Maybe it won't draw on the views. Maybe it'll push away views. It's just an experiment, but more like a consistent like podcast look, because why not? Just try it out. There was another point with that. Oh, and also sometimes this is just my preference, but when you see kind of the page going down all the way down to you through live streams, for the last 4 or so years, it can, some thumbnails look great and some thumbnails kind of look inconsistent. So I'm just particular when it comes to that stuff. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'll simplify it. Just do a straight thumbnail with the title Sunday stream. I think that's fine. And then like a subtitle of, the topic I'm talking about that week. So that's the experimentation. The next thing I want to say before getting into the chat is I was working. I put a community post maybe a week back or something, and it's about my piano transcriptions. I really like doing transcriptions for violin and piano. It does take a lot of time, and I do it primarily for my music students. Well, the platform that I distribute the piano transcriptions, like you may see a couple of video games that I have on my piano transcriptions playlist, even though it's just 2 videos. Well, the platform that distributes the sheet music to the main websites like Sheet Music Direct and Sheet Music Plus. Well, they upped the minimum price from $1.99 to $4.99, and for video games in particular, it's $5.99. And I'm like, I'm not going to sell sheet music unless it's really comprehensive, like intermediate and advanced. They were asking me to sell like like if I posted Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, for instance. Oh, that's $4.99. I was like, man, that's not even 99 cents. Why are you asking me to charge $4.99? So I might, take a pause. And it gave me pause. Let's just say that it gave me pause. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to explore selling sheet music if the minimum price is so expensive. In fact, I think I lost the potential sales because it went from like, $2.99 to $5.99 as far as these transcriptions. So, I mean, they're available. They're up for sale. And man, if you purchase them for $5.99, that's great. That supports me. I get 50%, but we'll see how it goes. I didn't feel too comfortable selling that kind of music for such an expensive cost. So, or at such an expensive cost. That's the right preposition to use. So, that's what I want to say up front. Let's go ahead and welcome the chat. Private Eye, welcome. You say hello there. Welcome to you. Glad you could join the stream. Ace Moic, my channel member. Okay, so he says, hola, señorita. Sonograver and El Meat Bags in the comments. Yeah, okay. So I guess Prof was talking about meat bags being Knights of the Old Republic reference from the assassin droid. Forgot his name. Forgot the name of the assassin droid. The really funny one. But I guess he did call pretty much more than humans, like all bipods, if you will, that aren't made of metal meat bags. It's kind of funny. Ghost Planet Max Inc. with a capital G. This is going to be hard to get used to for me. But glad to have you. Glad you are in the chat. Brian Gilmartin, you say a 3-way topic stream. Yes, let's hope. Sounds like we've got a fully loaded evening. I hope so, but it is kind of late. And I got to be sure I close the stream, for date night as well. And Ace Moic says, hey, wow, that almost kind of sounded robotic coming out of my mouth. AI must be destroyed. Yeah. Final Fantasy fan 12, good to see you. Our wonderful friend Big Owl says, have a great stream, Sound Graver. Star Wars talk, buckle up, Owl. Well, this is EU talk, so I don't know if I'll say anything offensive. We're just talking about a book. Here it is, right here. We'll get into it right here. Fatal Alliance. It's a great story, and I'm gonna get to it soon. Again, overview, nothing comprehensive, nothing too long-winded. Andreas is here. Good to see you. And Crystal Ashes, good to see you. Yeah. Professor Geek jumped the gun saying, don't worry, or jumped ahead. Don't worry, Big Al presents. She's just reviewing a Star Wars novel. All right. My wonderful prof says, looking clear and beautiful. That's good. That's good. All right. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. Ace, I don't think it's insomnia, but I feel like it could develop into insomnia. Yeah, no, I just have a bad habit of staying up way too late, like way too late. And I'm a night person, but I feel like my body's retaliating and punishing me with sleep deprivation. It's like, oh, you chose not to go to sleep until this hour in the morning? Well, I'm gonna keep you up and the sleep you do get, it's not gonna be that good. Brian says red is a very striking color. Yeah, I like red. I love it on designs. I love it with like geometric designs. It's really like kind of like red against black, yellow against black. I love that. Thank you. Crystal Ashes says the current thumbnail design is quite slick. Thank you. Appreciate it. It took me a while to find that image, and it's actually not the whole image. I cut out some stuff and then kind of repositioned it to make it look better. All right. Aesmoic says HK47, but I stole it from Bender from Futurama. See, I don't know that show. Sorry. I'm gonna admit that. I'm pretty sure the Coder developer stole from him as well. Okay. Stunning and Brave Megatron, also another channel member. So you get your comments posted up. Hi there to you. Glad to have you. Oh yeah, Brian's birthday was this week. Happy birthday to you, Brian. Good. Yeah, I hope it's been a really good week. It's been a full week. If you saw Professor Geek stream last night, you saw that the office looked a little different. Maybe not that much different. It looks great. We pushed the wall back like goodness, over 2 feet. I think it's almost 3 feet. And the space in his bat cave looks great. But it was a full day. It was a full week. So we're happy to have the weekend. So let's get started. Let me grab a swig of water. Stunning and Brave Megatron is wishing Brian Gilmartin a happy birthday. I hope you did have a happy birthday. So first topic is Star Wars Fatal Alliance. Now this will go down so far in my EU experience, my reading experience. So far, this is second to Darth Plagueis. Something about the Sith? No, actually, even though it has Darth Kratos, that's his name. Even though it has him on the cover, and really, this is where the main conflict of the whole story is. It's not really a Sith novel. Well, Fatal Alliance is, well, as the name suggests, it's an alliance of the Empire and the Republic and the Sith and the Jedi, and this is taking place in the Old Republic. So I really, really enjoyed this book. My impressions, I'll just give you my impressions. I mean, I really love the Old Republic stuff. At first, I will say that the book started very slowly. You have 4 main characters going after the same thing, but then in addition to the main characters, hopping between different perspectives and different chapters, you've got side characters. You've got like a Jedi apprentice, and then the side character is Grandmaster Satil Shan. You've got Eldon Axe, who's a Sith girl. She's an apprentice with Darth Kratos. He's a formidable character. He's got a lot of screen time, but he's not like you're not in his perspective as you would be in Palpatine, in Palpatine's perspective or Darth Plagueis's perspective. You've got this agent, like this spy or agent that is working under duplicity. He's working for the Republic, but he's really a spy for the Empire. But he also believes the Empire is the best solution so far for the civilization. Excuse me, I gotta cough for a second. Sorry about that. So you've got this spy character. He's a really likable, even sympathetic character, even though he's working as working with deception. He's working as a staff for the Republic, but he's really for the Empire. He believes the Empire's, if not the complete right side, he believes it's the best for civilization, and he does not like the Sith. He believes the Empire should have nothing to do with the Sith. This is where the Empire, it's a different empire in the Old Republic, where yes, the Emperor is a Sith Lord. He's like the master Sith Lord, but the Empire is really just of Imperials that work alongside the Sith, but they're not really Sith. They're not working with the Force or the dark side. So it's a very interesting premise. And so you wonder, well, is he going to turn to the Republic? Is he going to, work with the Jedi? It's really, really interesting. And then you have this female character who is, she was originally a commander of troopers. I forgot exactly her title. So you're working with 4 different perspectives, and they're all after this mysterious thing that is introduced in the prologue with a smuggler. And so it's very slow. And then I was telling Professor Geek exactly where I was. I'm like, this is a really slow buildup. Is this super, super important, this thing they're after? And then he says, oh, you're on that part of the story. Well, just wait, just give it another chapter. And then it like ramped up, like it upped the ante as far as tension really, really quickly. So and then the final conflict was amazing. I will say this even before I forget. One reason why this is like my second favorite EU novel is that this is a Star Wars book that really does battle well. Describing battle, describing the perspectives, the mode of battle, what different people, different task forces have to do to get to their objective. The world building is amazing. And the battle was not confusing because you were going between different sides. And there was nothing completely technical about the battle. There was a lot of drama, emotion, and technical stuff involved. And it wasn't heavy handed with gear and technology or weaponry. Sometimes Star Wars battles, they can be really dense as far as the narrative with all sorts of, I think as much as I loved Shatterpoint, it was really heavy on like, not just artillery. I can't spell the word or say the word in my head. Artillery. There it is. Um, just tell me something blows up. Like, describe the ship a little bit, describe what it was attacked with, and then say it blows up and then goes across the plains or something. Just tell me that. Um, the author, I forgot who wrote Shatterpoint, but he was very, very happy to talk about all sorts of guns and all sorts of weaponry, which I know a lot of people like because it's Star Wars, but you can lose yourself in that and then not get to the main plot, to the main focus of the story. This, however, was a very good balance of all of that. When there was a final climactic battle, I could visualize it, I could see it. It was almost working like a film for me. It was really, really well done. So that was one big bonus for this. Everything was just nice and clear. I could see everything going on in the battle. And working with different perspectives also helps with that. So if you're ever writing like military sci-fi or just sci-fi that involves a war or fantasy, just go through different perspectives and be very clear about their objectives and say, okay, this has to get done. This is the world, this is the environment, and then, hop to it. So I thought Fatal Alliance by Sean Williams, Williams did that very, very well. And what I like about it, we'll talk about themes. There were 2 themes that I got from the book. The first is doing the right thing and what that means. And then also authority. And are you going to respond favorably to authority or negatively to authority? Is the authority going to be good? Is the authority going to be sadistic? Is the authority or in rebellion to authority going to cause so much pain and trauma and even like psychosis, like the breaking down of your own psychology. It works with that as far as those 2 themes. So let's talk about doing the right thing. So you have 4 characters. You have Ulavi, and I forgot what alien race. He's like a humanoid alien race. He actually, it's a special race where he is not so easily influenced by the Force. So if he's if someone is trying to probe his mind to see if he's lying, a Force user, even a Sith Lord, will not be able to ascertain if he's lying or telling the truth. So there was a little bit of a kind of a threat, like the Sith Lord says, you better be telling the truth. If I find out you're lying, then I'll punish you in such a way. So I can't quite remember the specific species he is, but it's pretty much humanoid. So Ulavi, and he's working as I said before, an agent, believing that the Empire is good or it's the best option that the galactic civilization has, and working against the Republic. But he's also very likable because he believes he's doing the right thing and he doesn't like the Sith. He doesn't really want any part of dark side sorcery or anything like that. So as a reader, you're thinking, well, okay, maybe he's going to convert to the Republic because maybe he'll find out later that the Empire really is on the wrong side of things, especially when they're indulging with Sith activity, especially with the Emperor. The Emperor is the most powerful dark force user out there at this time. So maybe he'll come to grips with that. He'll understand the truth. That was my guessing as a reader, like, okay, he'll probably turn. But what actually happens with this is he serves both sides, and he does it very well. And he brings about a good doing that. So that's toward the end. Throughout his arc, he's wanting to be transparent with people. He doesn't really like this duplicitous side that he is in. Yeah, I mean, you could argue, well, he's an agent. This is his choice, but he has these natural gifts to doing this kind of work that the Republic wants of him. And then, yeah, he's sifting through information to send to the Empire. And during the course, he's brought into this amazing climax of pretty much a threat that is going to kill off Jedi, Sith, human beings alike, like wipe out the face of the galaxy. And the threat is real, and it's really scary. It's very tense, and I was a little unnerved by this galactic threat. So that's Ulavi, this agent working for the Empire, but also sort of working for the Republic. Then toward the end, when he needs to help, everyone else obliterate this massive threat, he serves both in a very honest way. He wants to give the same. He commands the two forces: the Imperial force at war, and also the Republic force at war. And he's honest to give the same information to both sides, like no bias. So, and the way the story progresses, the way that comes about is very, very interesting. And then also the kind of the denouement, like the denouement, that's how you say it. What happens after? Is he still going to be this agent? And it's very, his conclusion is pretty interesting. So that's Ulavi. The second one is this woman, Lorin Moxla, and she is a demoted commander of troops. Again, I forget her title specifically, but she's very good at war and guerrilla tactics, and she's been in special forces, in this old Republic world. Now, she has in the past done the right thing by exposing a corrupt superior officer, and because he had connections, because the hierarchy of different systems in the military are also corrupt, she was demoted. She was pretty much, I don't know if she was court-martialed or anything, but she was pretty much ostracized. And so she did the right thing in her past, and her life was just taken from her. Her occupation, her vocation, her sense of place, her sense of belonging. And so she's going about the world at the time of the events taking place in this book. She's going about the world thinking, well, I want to do the right thing, but what is that now, presently, and how can I help? And is it going to amount to anything? Is it going to mean something to me? So she's not afraid of doing the right thing, but she's also been devastated by things just being stripped from her because she's done the right thing. So her conflict is she going to pursue doing the right thing? And then she partners with this Jedi who is named Shigar Konshi, I think is his surname. He's also a humanoid alien race, and I forgot what he is. Kifu, I think, is the race name or the planet he's from. So we'll go. So she partners up with him, trying to stop this bounty hunter who's after some woman who we see later in the book. And so Shigar is a Jedi apprentice, and he's the apprentice under Grand Master Shan, who is pretty much the best Jedi Master there is at this time. She's very knowledgeable in the Force, and she can fight insanely, but just with such serenity and tranquility. And she's very much a matronly figure, even though she's not really old. She's probably in her 40s or something in this book, but she has this calming presence, for Shigar. Shigar is, he's brought up in the Jedi Academy, the Jedi Temple, and so he's always taught in a safe, more enclosed space what the right thing is to do. But the more he understands battle and what battle has done and what the empire has done on worlds, including his home world, what the devastation that the Sith brings upon different worlds, and then the Jedi masters saying we can't be for war, we're for peace, and that's a real conflict for Shigar, because he's saying if you basically the premise is the Sith are going to attack. The Sith are going to attack us, and we wait it out until they come to us because we're not warmongers. A lot of the masters are accusing him of saying you're just being a warmonger. We are a people of peace. We practice peace. We teach peace, and we can't go on the offense. The problem is if they're not on the offense and the threat is inevitable that the Sith come to the Jedi, which the Sith do come in the form of Darth Malgus in later events. Well, the Sith then are pretty much, at free reign to dominate different worlds and cause people to suffer. So he's having a real conflict, wanting to do what he believes is right, but all until this very first battle of the events that take place. He's more in a kind of a safe, secluded location that is the Jedi Temple. So when he is brought to the task of what really is right, he's in the events of the book, he's seduced momentarily by the dark side. That is embodied in this figure here, Darth Kratos. Darth Kratos is a very interesting Sith Lord. I really enjoyed his presence. He could be a little wordy. He could kind of keep talking, but that's all right. One second, I just need to check something. All right, thank you. So that was Shigar, and trying to find his way of doing the right thing. That's not dishonoring the Jedi principles. That's not dishonoring his teachings and his upbringing, but wanting to push. He does push the Jedi masters, saying we can't just wait around. We've got to be proactive in stopping the suffering that the Sith and the Empire bring upon the different worlds. So I can really sympathize with him. And then the last character, who you're in her perspective a lot. She's a Sith girl. She's a Sith apprentice, and she's a very interesting character. She has conflict immediately, and I thought, oh no, are they gonna is Sean Williams, is he gonna just make her turn to the light side? I feel like that's gonna happen. She has a very interesting arc. And I won't say she stays in the dark side. I won't say she turns to the light side. She has a very interesting arc that involves a history with a mother that the Force, the Sith have made her forget. They blocked her memory of her being taken and taken from this mother who, because she was taken, because her daughter was taken from her, this mother gets a little mental, this mysterious droid maker on this mysterious planet next to a black hole. She gets very sadistic. She's a genius. She's a droid maker, and she puts her grief and her agony and her bereavement, really, because her daughter's taken from her to join the Empire. She's bereft, and she puts her droids to work in a very evil, it's evil, but basically she has created an army of killer droids. So yeah, that's not good. So Eldon Axe is the Sith girl, and she tries to learn more about her mother, but not in a good way. You know, she has no fondness over her mother. She in fact wants to kill her, and she has a very interesting arc taking place there. And basically, the threat is this psychotic droid making lady has pretty much developed hyper advanced droids at this time of Star Wars history, and she she creates them and improves upon them in her wrath against the empire. And she says, we do not submit to your authority, we do not recognize, to the empire who took her daughter away, we do not recognize your authority, in protest. And like, this is a vision that Shigar has in the events. And then her personality and all these things are imbued uh, into the droids, where they start adopting her defiance and her resilience to all authority. And it's pretty terrifying how they say it, like, we do not recognize your authority. If you hear the Audible book, it's like it's terrifying. It's like borderline horror. And then, you know, the way the droids are expanding uh, and multiplying exponentially, they can cover the face of the galaxy in a generation. So that's the main threat, where the Sith and the Empire and the Jedi and the Republic are forced to team up to vanquish this threat. And it's really fun. It was a great plot. It totally felt like Star Wars. And then there were really weird, like creepy moments, and there were really intense moments and personal moments, and all around, I give it like 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is kind of a slow build up, but man, when you get to the point, it's like, this is crazy insane, crazy insane. So that is my recommendation. So Darth Plagueis is my favorite, and I think Fatal Alliance is my second favorite, and then maybe Thrawn Trilogy is after that. But I love the Old Republic. As much as I love stories involving Han, Luke, and Leia. I have to say though, like, I think the Old Republic is my favorite. I'm reading Tales of the Jedi, and that's also really fun. It's very addicting. I stayed up way too late reading it, so that's kind of my punishment for lack of sleep. I'm still not done. It's a very comprehensive graphic novel, wonderfully done. So I mean, old comics, Old Republic comics, and stories is really good. It is really good. So if you like good Star Wars, join the Old Republic, join the EU, and then after I read a couple more comics in Star Wars, I'll probably take a break from Star Wars and probably read some Frankenstein or Dracula or whatever, you know, just for the holidays. So if you can wait just 1 second, I need to fix something real quick, and then we'll get into an article. All right. Thank you guys for waiting. Maybe let's go into the chat just a little bit before getting into the article, but that was my take on Star Wars. Let's see. Andrea says, even though I love the Old Republic era, I haven't read much Old Republic books since I'm not really familiar with the MMO. I mean, I will say, watching Professor Geek play KOTOR and KOTOR 2, it really does. Man, those are a good set of games, and it's fun to recognize some of the world and like, you know, different worlds and different people, based on references from that game. And it really does expand the history. Like, the Old Republic it's not stuffy. It's in fact actually something with the Tales of the Jedi, the graphic novel. It's intense. Like, it shows stuff that wouldn't be really appropriate for an all age, all family audience. There are some really intense things. There are some dark things. There and it's very serious. The lore is very serious. The stakes are real. The stakes are high. And I'm not saying the stakes weren't high with something like the original trilogy, but you can only put so much for like a family friendly film. There's some stuff that if you adapted to a series or to a film, you have to leave some stuff out because it's dark. But that's important if you're working with the dark side. There's a really creepy, like kind of scene involving a girl clone in a vat with Fatal Alliance. The archetype that is the devouring mother, um, who doesn't submit to authority, yet she is abusive in her own authority. I mean, some real dense stuff that is very appropriate for a book or for a graphic novel, but would have to be like, softened a little bit if it was ever a TV show. I mean, I guess not. There are just some really dark things, and it's wonderful. Asamoah says space battles seem to be the most challenging to follow, in my opinion, when reading the X-Wing books. Yeah, and I want to write battle. My long fiction will include battle, and I just want to do it in such a way where people get the scope of the battle. Like in real life, space battles would be really boring. They'd be very distant. Ships would be very distant from each other. Maybe I don't know how weaponry would work. Probably. Sorry, I have a cough. 1 second. Sorry, I think there's something in the air, but I might have to cough from time to time. But yeah, technically, space battles would be very uneventful in real life. But you have to, they try to mirror the battle in the book as if you would see it on screen, and it's easier to see it on screen, even though on screen is a lot of chaos as well, unless you follow a few core characters. So with battles, I mean, this isn't just space battles. This can be with fantasy as well, or military sci-fi, whatever the case is. I would go straight. Well, and maybe it's because I'm female and I go more to the, interiority and the emotion. But there should be a blend of emotion, reaction, and fighting. That's just my preference. Some people are more hardcore, like, okay, give me the military, and it's like, okay, have at it. Because I think military sci-fi is actually one of the most popular sci-fi genres out there, and it's really not my cup of tea. And I love things like Stargate, but Stargate has like the Epic Four and what they're doing and how they're reacting to things, and I think that's really important. Ghost Planet says Star Wars EU is cool. It is. Ace Moix says Kenobi is your favorite. It's a very well written book. I was moved by that book. I was listening to that book too while I was driving across the country. So I was driving through all the plains of the Dakotas, like South Dakota. I was going through Wyoming. I was going through Montana. And so it's not Tatooine, but if you've ever driven through those states, you can go hundreds of miles, just all flatlands, all plains, and you can kind of get lost. Not lost like locationally, but you can kind of feel the presence of like this barren planet, and so it was a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience. But that book moved me, especially the end, and I was actually disturbed at the end of that book. I still think it's a fine book, but yeah, but it was very appropriately written. I think it was really wonderfully written. Kenobi, the character, was not messed up. Um, he wasn't tampered with as a character. That was definitely Obi-Wan Kenobi, like just who he would have been after the battle of the Clone Wars. Andrea says, wow, this book is written by Sean Williams, the same author for the Force Unleashed novelization. The Force Unleashed novelization. Yes, it's true. Andreas asked, "Have you read any more DC or superhero comics?" Not yet. I think I got straight into Star Wars, just because the graphic novel was so good. I might go back into DC. I'll probably after reading some classics, um, or maybe even in between. I like to read one thing at a time. I might go into some Batman comics, because it's going to get into October, November. The mood is different. I like reading Superman during like the American Revolution history period, which is like getting into June, July, and August, and then maybe the fall would be Batman. I don't know. I think that's the right thing. Ah, yes, the Republic, the old Republic, a more civilized age. It's brutal. It's a brutal age. I love it. Okay, so one reason why I love the old Republic so much is that the Sith are just it's like a metropolis of Sith. Like there are Sith everywhere. They can work for the Empire. They could work as training apprentices for masters. They're very prevalent, and I like that. It doesn't go into the rule of two really until the Darth Bane chronology of events, and I kind of like it when it's like a lot of them. There's this one scene I can't really explain too much without spoiling, but Eldon asks the girl. There's this one scene where and authority. Okay, like the theme of authority. She was such a well-written Sith character because she is a Sith, true blue Sith, and she wants to be a master. And it's a time where they don't kill their masters to become masters. It's kind of like, the knighting of a Jedi. To become a Jedi master, you don't have to kill a master. So it's kind of that time period, which I really like that. But she does not like Darth Kratos. She hates him. She despises him. She questions him. Even at the expense of her own life. Like if he should retaliate with his own lightsaber, she's not afraid to ask questions even at the expense of publicly humiliating him in front of like the Dark Council. And I love she's got so much gumption, and it's because he's too careful. Like as wicked and evil as he is, he's a very careful Sith Lord. And so because of that, she does not respect him. She wants to leave him. She wants to not be his apprentice. But in the events of the story, we kind of see where she goes with that. And there's this one scene, and I found it so funny. I found it so humorous, where she's expected to meet another Dark Lord master, and he's at a hunting range, and he's shooting wild beasts with a rifle, and I found that so funny. A very powerful Sith master, a Sith Lord, is using a rifle to hunt game, and she takes on a rifle and she tries to he's better at it than she is because she's only used her lightsaber. And it's kind of sadistic too because it can't just be a recreational thing with Sith Lords. The game he's hunting is the pets that his old demoted apprentice started becoming attached to. She started collecting pets, so he demoted her. He's no longer his apprentice, and he's shooting the game in front of her. Like she's like bound in a tower or something, watching her pets die. And it's so dark, but I found it so humorous at the same time. So it's the Old Republic really explores a lot of different premises. So anyway, let's move on. It's Joseph Corner. You say you never liked the rule of two. It clearly exists for the plot convenience and doesn't make any tactical sense. I mean, I think I can agree with that. And now I have never read the Bane trilogy, so I don't know. I don't know too much about the details behind that. I mean, the only effective plot was Palpatine. Like Palpatine knew how to move mountains with factions like the Separatists and the Republic. So it worked for him, but not every Sith lord can be like him. Like everyone has to be different. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's continue. Now, I'm going to share an article. Let's talk about AI. So we're going to go from killer droids to AI. I thought that's a very good connection. And let me see something real quick. Okay, this should work. This is my first time presenting you an article that's in a PDF mode, so it's going to look a little different. It was on my email. I just didn't want to show my email on screen. So let's see if this works. We're going to talk about an article written by Ted Gioia, jazz musician turned marketer turned pop culture enthusiast. He's a blogger, professional blogger. He's got a lot of he's got a huge readership. I got to know him through an interview he was a part of with Rick Beato, the YouTuber who's pretty known for talking to musicians and gear and all that. So let's share the screen and let's see. Let's see if this works. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Okay. No, it disappeared. No. Let's see if I can do that real fast. Okay. It disappeared again. I might have to, let's see. This might take a little bit of reworking. Forgive me, guys. I'm just exploring new ways of doing this. Cancel, and then let me minimize that. And then see if that works. I hope it works because, okay, let's see. Okay, this should work. This kind of reminds me of when I'm teaching music online and I'm sharing stuff. Okay, good. This is what it is. Awesome. It worked. I don't know how long the article is. I don't think it's too long. I'll get through it pretty quickly. But Ted Gioia, he's a great writer of all sorts of different things involving the pop culture. He talks a lot about like the music industry and the decline of the music industry. And now he's talking about AI. So again, I got to cough again. 1 second. Just give me a moment. And I didn't verify the sources he gives. This is meant to be speculation. I can't be sure if a lot of what he's positing could be true in the future, but this is just interest and something to think about. So that's what we're at, where we're at. So I'm actually gonna. I see you, I see the chat, but I'm actually gonna read the article from my blown up screen. So I won't be able to see the chat. So my professor, if there's any technical difficulties, he'll just come into the room and tell me so. So let's talk about AI and the expecting heavy turbulence for the next 5 months. All right. So things are moving fast right now. And I'm not talking about the Olympic swim times. The culture, the media are changing more rapidly than I've ever seen before. And it won't slow down. If I were a commercial pilot, I'd tell you to return to your seats and buckle up. I anticipate extreme turbulence on every front for the remaining 5 months, in 2024. You will see it in politics, business, economics, culture, world affairs, the stock market, and maybe even your own neighborhood. That's one of my themes of my latest arts and culture update below. There we go. Oh, wait, there we go. I think that, there. So you can see it's in 2 pages now. So his main question, what happened to the AI business model last week? After almost 2 years of hype, the media changed its opinion on AI last week. The hype disappeared almost overnight. All of a sudden, news articles about AI went sour like reheated 7-Eleven coffee. I don't think reheated 7-Eleven coffee is all that bad, even though I love coffee. But that's just an aside. I get his point. Not digging on him. That's kind of funny. The next generation AI chips are delayed, and 70% of companies are behind in their AI plans. There are good reasons for this. Most workers now say AI makes them less productive. People are also noticing that AI businesses want to use the entire electricity grid to run their money-losing bots. Meanwhile, AI companies are burning through cash at historic levels. Even under the best case scenario, this all feels unsustainable. But the worst disclosure, in my opinion, came on July 24, just 11 days ago at the time of his publishing the article last Sunday, August 4th. A study, he says, published in Nature showed that when AI inputs are used to train AI, the results collapse into gibberish. So, AI learning off of AI. This is a huge issue. AI garbage is now everywhere in the culture, and most of it is undisclosed. So, there's no way that AI companies can remove it from future training inputs. They are caught in this doom loop. He talks about this doom loop in a previous article that he described last week. The same day, the chief investment officer at Morgan Stanley warned investors that AI, quote unquote, hasn't really driven revenues and earnings anywhere. One day later, Goldman Sachs quietly released a report admitting that the AI business model was in serious trouble. Even consulting firms who make a bundle hyping up this tech are backtracking. Bain recently, BAIN, recently shared the following chart hidden away at the end of the report, which explains why AI projects have failed. Now, this report might be hard for you to see on screen. I'll just go ahead and read a few of these on the list. So, for instance, the first one at 43%. Well, the chart says, why has the use of generative AI not met your company's expectations? One reason is could not perform the necessary task with sufficient proficiency or performance. And that's at 43% of these people. Is it 43% percentage point change? I'm not quite sure what the percentages mean from this source. Maybe he'll explain a little bit later. Poor output quality, lack of understanding how to utilize tools. So the AI, the computer, is not understanding how to work with other tools. Low vendor tool quality and capabilities. So poor infrastructure. Data was incompatible. Process redesign was also too laborious. So if there's troubleshooting involved, it's just too much of a hassle to work with. Competitive pressure, external factors. So everyone's pushing each other to work with AI. No, you got to use this AI plugin. You got to use this model. Don't work with what you've been traditionally trained in. And lack of management commitment. So just a few reasons why companies are probably backtracking on the use of AI. Hopefully it continues. And here on this other side, if you can see my mouse, you've got Financial Times reading Elliott says Nvidia, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, is in a bubble and AI is overhyped. Wall Street Journal says the AI revolution is already losing steam. Now these are hyper, they want to have you click on their titles. So I'm just reading what they have written themselves. CNN says, has the AI bubble burst? Wall Street wonders if artificial intelligence will ever make money. Microsoft is losing a staggering amount of money on AI. Probably not just money. I mean, money with electricity. I mean, because AI is very expensive when it comes to electricity. Reports claim that OpenAI has burned through $8.5 billion on AI training and staffing, and could be on the track to make a $5 billion loss. Will AI's tough economics pop Nvidia's bubble? I think I'm saying that right. Hopefully. All right, next page. And I think this is the last. Yeah, this is the last one. And finally, last week, the media noticed all of this. They published dozens of panic-stricken articles like they usually do. Investors got spooked too. They got spooked too, shifting from greed to fear in a New York minute. Over the course of just 2 days, Nvidia's stock lost around $400 billion in market capitalization. In this environment, true believers quickly turn into skeptics. The whole AI business model gets scrutinized, and if it doesn't hold up, investment cash flow dries up very quickly. This is Ted Goya in his writing. This is exactly what I predicted 6 months ago or even a year ago, and he has his sources to back that up, as you can see underlined there. I expect that the next few weeks, or maybe even the next few days, will be extremely turbulent in the AI world. Buckle up. And I think there's another side here. His name, by the way, is the Honest Broker. The dominant AI music company just admitted, this is important for me for music, just admitted that it trained its bot on essentially all music files on the internet. Suno is a huge player in AI music. It tells investors it will generate 120 billion per year. Microsoft is already using its technology, but there's a tiny catch. The company now admits in a court filing, yay, court filings, Suno's training data includes essentially all music files of reasonable quality. Let me say that again. Suno's training data includes essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet. So something like streaming, like Spotify, abiding by paywalls, password protections, and the like, combined with similarly available text descriptions. So I guess Suno is trying to say, hey, we're doing this with our due diligence. We're abiding by paywalls. We're abiding by certain protections, and then Ted Joya says, "Hey, this is totally illegal. It's like Napster all over again. If you remember Napster, pretty much the download Armageddon when it comes to downloading music on the internet for the first time instead of going to the CD store or record store." So he has this picture saying, I know that ain't allowed, David Byrne. I don't know the reference, but you might. I know Big Al would probably. Suno will need to prove that all these copyrighted songs are, quote, fair use in AI training. I doubt that any court will take that claim seriously. If the music industry is smart, they will use this violation to shut down AI regurgitation of copyrighted songs. I sure hope so. Also, lastly, if the music industry is stupid, run according to my, quote, idiot nephew theory, they will drop charges in exchange for some quick cash. So it's all about what they can get at the moment as well. So hopefully honest people will do the right thing. So that is that. Let me go ahead and stop sharing that. Cool. Thank you guys. Hopefully my face wasn't just this white blur, but it probably was. But I was sharing the article, so it should be fine. My wonderful geek is saying I'm on the watch. Good. Fitzjozo's Corner says AI still needs more processing power than the human brain. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it is very expensive. Comparably to what? I am not sure. But if we just resort to using AI for everything, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy. And don't these like globalists want to, save the environment, reduce energy? We don't use a fraction of the energy that they claim, that they accuse us of. But now I don't know the numbers, but I understand that the processing power is very, very energy expensive. So I'm not doing AI. I'm still composing and writing my own stuff. But then, but to Ted Joya's article, he's talking about businesses that were just like, "Oh, we got to do this. Got to do this." Private Eye says AI feels like when Steve Jobs tried to make Pixar computers mainstream so everyone can make their own 3D stuff, just with more insanity behind it. Yeah, I mean, things are more complicated now. I thought I was on this article, and I guess maybe I deleted a page or something. And this is pure speculation. I thought this was on the page, but maybe not. But basically, people are finding that AI cannot train itself. And I don't know how accurate this is, but I'll just give you the example that I saw. What the AI was given, by the human input, was a picture of like 8 different dogs, like different breeds of dog breeds. And then the AI processed it and then outputted maybe half of the breeds, and then just replicated those breeds that it processed. Don't know how accurate this is. And then after that, the AI trained itself to that image, and then even less breeds were outputted. This is over time, a process over time, like the game Telephone. You say a sentence, and then by the 20th person, it's a different sentence. Same with the AI training AI, and then by the final output, I think that not only was it just one breed of dog, and it was like a golden retriever or something, but it was like a golden brown dog with like black eyes and obviously a black nose. And the dog, the final output was this dog. You couldn't even recognize it as a dog. It was just this like wall of mesh with some black spots that were supposed to be eyes, but there were like multiple black spots. And so the AI is having a hard time training itself, to another counterpart of some kind. And that to me is very hopeful. And then there's anti AI technology out there now. People who are opposed to AI are putting in their software or in their plugins or maybe into products like music or writing or something. They're putting in anti AI software to combat any theft of any kind. So there's technology out there. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Stunning and brave Megatron. 2 months, well worth it. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope so. $1.99 if you wanted to. $1.99 a month if you want to be a member. I don't have any tiers besides that one. Sorry, got something in my throat again. One sec. Ah, it's probably still in my throat. So for any videos that I have, I just post your channel name up on my videos. I'm going to do more SuperCollider and Logic videos in the near future because I have some ideas getting back into that, getting back into SuperCollider. It's been wonderful. Even if it comes to nothing, I'm always happy in SuperCollider. I just love tinkering in code and making something. Hopefully it'll develop into some performance of some kind, like when it comes to music and recording music. But I'm just kind of tinkering. I'm in the clock, just tinkering things, and I love it. But I released like a 44-second video the other day on what I was working on. So thank you for being a channel member. Channel members also get their comments posted on the screen, so you can see it and their wonderful avatars. Now, Ace Mowick, another channel member, and you say, I hear Napster and immediately think of Lars. Professor Geek knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I want to know. I don't know the reference. Yeah, there was the music industry, I think, started. I mean, I don't know the whole history, music history. The exploitative, the music industry had an exploitative practice well before Spotify, and I think when downloading became a thing, it got serious real fast, and people said, "Oh no, we don't need to." So like artists were hurt even more. I don't know the whole history, but Napster was one of it was a death knell for the music industry, and I don't think it's recovered since. Oh, in Nvita. Nvita. Thank you, Elias Jones. I don't even know what this company is. There's a practice you say called round tripping, wherein Nvita is giving money to its customers so they can buy more chips. Oh, so that Nvita can post more sales. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that's like one of many, many factors on, how, again, it's exploiting information. Where people aren't really honest about the numbers, for sure. Brian says, yeah, you remember the whole controversy over Napster. There were even bands who bought lawsuits against it. Yeah. I don't know how successful people will be with AI. I honestly don't know. Here's my take though. I think AI really will be gone in a few years. I don't think it's gonna stick. One, it's not cost effective at all. It's the opposite. Two, it's theft, and people can conflate fair use for any other technical term that suits their fancy, and wins them arguments. But no, AI art is theft. The AI had to learn from someone somewhere, and people say, "Oh, you're anti AI." It's like, well, so what? So what? Elias says, there's definitely a scam going on, and the SEC will get involved after the Main Street loses its shirt. Let's see, continuing on down. Joseph's Corner says, I write and animate my own stuff as well. It's the way to go. Because, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Crystal Ashes, was that you? I think you were, oh, down there. Thank you so much. Crystal Ashes gifted 5 Sound Engraver memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm such a boomer when it comes to this, but the last time you did that, Crystal Ashes, I don't know if you remember this. I was so confused, like, guys, like, take the memberships, and I didn't know who were going to be members after that. And apparently, if you just turn on the accept members, little notification switch, then the next time you post on the chat, you get an instant membership. So there you go. I'm learning technology. I'm okay with SuperCollider, but when it comes to like YouTube technology and stuff, I'm like, I can't do it. Sorry about my voice, but I think I'm doing okay. Oh, Ghost Planet. Okay, I'll see you later. Thanks for coming. Sorry again that I started a little bit later. Yeah, appreciate that. Now Elias Jones is a member. AI will not go away, but the expectations are going to be way lower. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm not saying it'll go extinct, like BitCurrency in some form or fashion. That's not going to go away. But when people jump on the hype train, not considering how much of a disadvantage some factors can be, some parameters. So I think people will be a lot more modest. Sorry about my voice. All right. Let's see. Private Eye says most technologies today are not very cost effective, apparently. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to that, but we shall see. Now, let's see. The final thing, as no article, no book, I wanted to talk about just the internet. Isn't that fun to talk about the internet on YouTube and maybe predominantly YouTube? Nothing to do with my channel, but just me as someone who watches YouTube or watches people and videos on YouTube and kind of seeing different things take place in the way of people's behavior and lack of integrity. And maybe certain people that I thought I really admired and liked, maybe they didn't have integrity to begin with, but wanted to just talk about being careful with more parasocial relationships, like like for instance, I love you guys listening to me and all of that, and I would hope, like, if I say something off color, or if I don't present myself in a good edifying way, without being mean about it, it'd be wonderful to bring it up. I hope, though, I remain as I've remained 4 or 5 years ago, like even with a potential increase of subscribers or something. I have noticed a couple of things, some main things when it comes to integrity on the internet. The first big thing, I won't name names, I won't name examples, but the first big thing is I started seeing with YouTubers that I watched constantly for a number of months and years start evolving, or having their channel start evolving, or devolving rather, to very basic petty dribble because it suited the algorithm. And it wasn't just their content that was drivel, it was their philosophy. It was dumbing down of certain philosophies. I'll just give a concrete example without giving a channel example or a name of a channel, is the idea of Star Wars. Like, before all the drama with Disney, people who knew about Star Wars knew what Star Wars meant. They knew what Star Wars looked like, and they knew what Star Wars meant. The struggle to bringing back the light. That's the theme of all of Star Wars. But with Disney generating this horrible content that are these Disney shows, and then YouTubers talking about such shows over time, people start asking. I've seen it in comments. I've seen it with the YouTubers themselves. They start asking, well, should we just redefine Star Wars? I mean, and that was the trap. I knew that's what Disney wanted, like 5 years ago. I might not have called it out, but I knew that was the trap. That's the trap that Disney set for these people, these Star Wars fans, for instance. And so people who had done such strict commentary, such deep analysis, such strict standards, such like voicing legitimate concerns involving an IP like Star Wars, devolve and see the algorithm want to take in the trash and say, well, the more you watch the trash and comment on the trash, the more views you're going to get. So what ends up happening? Well, your audience is going to change from sober-minded, analytical, deep thinkers to saying, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy needs to go. Kathleen Kennedy needs to be fired. Like, and that's all you get for your students. I'm a teacher. Sorry, I've been thinking about teaching lately. But no, for your listeners. And I'm not saying you can't change your mind on something and present it like that. If let's say I had a bit of philosophy regarding entertainment or culture, and then I change, and my mind changes, and I'm thinking, guys, let me present this to you, see what you think. If you don't like it, if you want to move on from my channel, I understand. But this is how I'm changing, because it was an organic process. But these people, these YouTubers, I'm not even sure they know they've changed over the years. I'm not sure they do self-assessment, like if they go back to previous videos and talk about different topics and remember what they sounded like from 5 years ago. I think that would be a really healthy step. Some people might say, well, that's narcissistic, you listening to yourself. But the thing is, it's a type of journaling. If you're live streaming or you're providing commentary, yeah, it's topical, but it's a journal. It's an archive. Like you sounded this way, you thought this way 5 years ago. And maybe you've changed. Maybe you haven't changed, but at least you have it recorded. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting process. Like if I would, let's say I go back to a stream from 2 years ago that I did, I'm like, okay, what were my thoughts on the coming of Rings of Power, for instance? What did I think? And then I would maybe I'd listen to myself and like, oh, that happened in my life at this point. I remember that. So it's a kind of journal you refer to. I think some of these YouTubers, if they were honest, should do some self-evaluation. Go to older streams, older videos from 3 to 5 years old, or maybe even longer. Like maybe when the hype against something like The Last Jedi was a thing. And maybe, honestly, they could say, I have changed, guys. I've changed, my audience has changed, my content has changed. But at least from the YouTubers I saw, there was no sense of transparency. It was like just this kind of sifting of content until they started saying things I know they would not have said 5 years ago. It's like, there's no way you would have said this 5 years ago. I know this. That's why I followed you. But the algorithm, the views, like I think people just said, well, if I keep doing this and I keep maintaining the number of views, this will be okay. And I think people have not recognized how their channels and their audience have changed. Now, could be for the better, for the worse. When it comes to pop culture, it's something like Star Wars. Unfortunately, I've seen it go downhill quite steeply. And so the important thing is to maintain integrity and always kind of have whatever your content is, if you ever do YouTube or if you listen to a lot of different people, have they been consistent with what they've been meaning to say in past streams and past videos? Or if there's a change, are they being honest about that change? And that's where the integrity comes in. With Professor Geek, when things were evidently not getting better, when they were getting worse with Star Wars, when they were finally just getting, really after Endgame, Endgame was the final straw that broke the camel's back for Professor Geek. He didn't bother with Marvel after that, and he was consistent with that. He's like, "I'm not going back to Marvel." And then I remember he did a car video, a few years back now, where he said, I'm not reviewing DC anymore," and he's stuck with that. If he's reviewed any DC, it was like it's something like Superman for all seasons, you know? And so he's maintained that integrity. And so I would say watch out, like for people you follow, people you like, you know, have they been authentic to any change, any deviation? Or have they oh, thank you, Crystal Ashes. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Love it. Thank you. Um uh or if they have changed, okay, I'm like, guys, I'm all for Disney Star Wars. Like basically the content, like of all the Star Wars hating for some of these people who were so against the sequels, so against Kathleen Kennedy, they started making concessions. And now their channels have devolved to, I just watch Disney Star Wars. I still don't like it. I just watch it. It's like, no, you like it. You do like it in some form or another. You like the stuff you watch, even through a lens that you're like negative about, you know, like a negative lens. Maybe you're not looking at something with colored glasses, but you're still absorbing it. It's part of you now. It's part of your life. And you just need to accept that and just be honest with fans saying, guys, I'm doing this for the views. I'm doing this for the revenue. Do that. Like, I feel like fans would be fine if you were honest. Maybe they wouldn't, or maybe they say, okay, thanks for being honest. I'm going to go somewhere else. But I actually had to be an astute observer of this kind of stuff. Like it, for a lot of people that I followed, I had to, it was breaking out of this slow habit. Like, oh, you know, they've been saying things that I just don't agree with anymore. I need to move on. That's the first thing when it comes to integrity with YouTubers, with content and all that. The second thing has been a more recent thing for me, and it's been kind of sad. I've just it's been as recent as like the last month or so. And that is people, and this is in the independent artist sphere. So people who are trying to produce different books, different things of entertainment like graphic novels or comics. And I listen sometimes to, you know, the comic book professionals, you know, like Graham Nolan, R.T. Bear, EVS, a couple others whose works I might not be interested in reading, but I enjoy listening to the art side, you know, the professional side. And with that, I started becoming aware of different independent artists, and actually a lot of them uh, ascribed the word Iron Age. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad um, uh, inscription, uh, ascribing. I can't think of the word right now. My professor husband would know the word I'm thinking about. So maybe that's a good description. Maybe that's a good title to have. Oh, the Iron Age of all these independent, you know, graphic novel creators and comic book creators following suit, you know, following maybe what had been or what is still Comicsgate. Like, okay, we're not Comicsgate, but we're like independent, and maybe we have a smaller audience, but we're still promoting our stuff. Now, I started losing interest pretty fast on that because, you know, people were showing a lot of art that is just not professionally done. Stories seemed really bland, something that I wasn't really interested in. But where I saw a real problem was the lack of professionalism happening among these circles, where when they're on a live stream, I like their personality. Oh, they're like happy and quirky and dorky, and they like geeky stuff and all that. But then when other people expose certain habits they have in different ways, I feel so sad because it's like, oh, he's such a happy, quirky guy. I like him. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing this very unprofessional thing off to the side? And it really trains me. It really tells me, like, okay, there are people that look a certain way and they sound a certain way on screen. And then when you find out they do devious things or pestering things, like not professional, not suitable things, not improper things. Maybe not legally improper, but just not a good thing. Like for the wellness and of your soul, for the edification of another person, don't behave like this. So I see a lot of misbehavior among people I listened to, I supported, I gave super chats to, and I'm like, oh no, not you too. And so it's been kind of a month of realizing that it's going to take, for me, at least as a listener, a huge amount of trust, like a huge level of trust. And now it's not just with independent creators, it could be with figures, famous figures that you would see on YouTube or on news networks or something like the Daily Wire or something like that. It could be major players too. But in the kind of space that I've been listening to, it's been more independent creators. And I'm like, guys, please, 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 please be professional. Please don't harass people. Don't intimidate other people. Don't beg people to like help you grow your audience. Like really just lack of professionalism. It really makes me lose respect for people who are up and coming artists who want to do this as a full-time thing. It's like, well, artists are a bunch of, if you're not careful, artists can be particular, or creative people. Maybe they just don't know, they don't have any social skills. I'm a musician and a composer, but my primary vocation, to get income is a teacher. I have to develop a lot of social skills for the parents, for the students, all sorts of different personalities, all sorts of ages, ethnic backgrounds, and it's something you have to learn. But I see a lack of this. I see a gross lack of this in the YouTube sphere. It's like, well, YouTube is free for all. I could say and do whatever I want. I could be malicious. I could be catty. I could gossip. I could like all sorts of stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I can't trust people. Not yet. Like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's coming from my heart. Like, it takes a great deal of trust for a YouTuber, or how do I say it? It takes a great deal for a YouTuber to earn my trust now because of how times have changed, how maybe their channels have changed. When people give channel updates, I give channel updates every now and then just to show you or tell you what I really want to do. I don't want to hide it. And when people give updates, it's like, oh, okay, they're redirecting, they're reassessing. And then on the other side of the coin, it's when people I really like, and I understand from other people they're not being completely honest about certain things in certain situations. It's like, oh, that hurts me because I like you. I like your personality. I think you're great. Why do you have to do this? So anyway, that's all I have to say. We'll talk about it in the chat. It's almost 8 o'clock since we started a little bit late, but I think this is really important. So if you guys have anything to say, let me go into the chat a little bit. All right. Ace Moic says, but integrity means giving up easy monetization. It's so true. It's so true. And again, I haven't been tempted on that level, like how much money I can get. If I started, catering to the, Star Wars community, for instance, I still get evergreen content from my Siege of Mandalore commentary from like 3 or 4 years ago now. And so I know there's viewership to be had there, but it's like, why bother? I know Disney is going to always keep corrupting Star Wars. So there's no motive for me to continue in that way. Plus, I really just want to focus on my music. But you're right, Ace. Stunning and Brave Megatron says, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to completely boycott Disney because my nieces love Disney movies, so I have to buy them Disney stuff every now and then. That's hard when you have nieces and your own children. Yeah, for sure. I can sympathize. I know, like, I think Professor Geek is trying to like wean Alyssa off Disney Plus. She's autistic. She needs to have her routine. She has to have her certain apps and parameters. So if Disney Plus goes, it's not that we use Disney Plus. I don't watch it. Prof doesn't watch it. Maybe my mother-in-law watches it, but if if Alyssa, didn't have her particulars, we wouldn't have it either. Andreas says, Sound Engraver. Oh, well, Andreas is a channel member now. Sound Engraver, I think the reason why these people still review Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars is because it is one thing that gives them attention and money. And the sad thing is they won't be remembered for anything else. And when their channels stop for whatever reason, and heaven forbid it'd be like a health reason or a passing on or something, they're forgotten. YouTube, as much as I love it, as much as I love talking about stuff, YouTube is not going to be the thing people remember me by. Like if I am to be remembered, it's going to be in the work I work in, which is music, if it ever picks up, or my sci-fi writing, if my stories ever pick up. Those are the two things. And then trying to be saintly, like a saintly figure. Like I'd like to do good in the world, in whatever form that takes. But yeah, but my violin playing, my music making, and my sci-fi writing, those are tangible things that people can go back to. And then my conduct on, on the really in the public space as a teacher. But once a channel stops making videos for whatever reason, health concerns, whatever, family emergency, tragedy, people will stop watching that and they'll forget. They will forget those people within a few years' time. That's how transient it is. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so ephemeral. Everyone's loving the classic. Anything up until Princess and the Frog is awesome. Everything else will be their own choice in time. Yeah, I heard there's going to be like a Frozen 3. I had a nightmare last night. I had a few nightmares last night. One nightmare was I have a reoccurring nightmare every once in a while where I'm on stage in a play and I have a part that I don't know, and like the white lights are showing on me, and then I wake up because I never acted before. It'd be interesting to see if I could actually do that, memorize lines and act on a stage. But I had a terrible dream last night that I was supposed to play in like this real life version of like this Frozen musical. Like I was Anna or whatever. And then like people are like, "Oh no, you're Elsa." Oh no, I'm like, "I'm Anna, but I don't even want to be in this musical." I'm strange. I have very active nightmares. I remember the scene. We're in this like frozen wilderness, and I'm supposed to sing this part. I teach a lot of teenage girls who like that stuff, and they'll want to sing those songs if they can. I'm like, oh, okay. Andrea says, as someone who hates a normal, boring desk job, I would love a better way to make money, but I couldn't bring myself to keep up with all the new trash content that Disney keeps pumping out. As I get older, I'm really appreciative of the desk job. I'm so grateful I have a teaching job. I teach music now, but I found the worth in like a receptionist job when I was, because I would leave that behind me and then work on my music. Yeah, it'd be nice to make money on my music, and I hope to. That's my goal in some form or another. And it's gonna take years. It's gonna take years, but I'm so appreciative as a creative to have another type of job away from that, as well. And that came from being older, like getting older. I thought when I was in my 20s, like, oh, I want to make money only doing music. And now I sort of do as a teacher, but I would love to do it for my original music, but that's just kind of a hard thing to do. A Smoke says, so many creators think their graphic novel is the next Alan Moore or Will Eisner. I don't even know if they do. Oh, let me put up your comments since you're a channel member. I don't think they do. Ace, to be honest, I think they're fine with putting up stuff that they pay like an artist like $20 to do. Some of the stuff is really immature looking. All right. Andre says, Tom King, cough, cough. That's funny. Elias Jones says audience capture works in a number of ways. I've seen some enlightened alt centrists go out of their way to say both sides are equally bad when clearly they weren't in this situation. Yeah, I mean, exaggerating things. Yeah, that's that, and that's where I lose trust, or the person I'm viewing is losing my trust and respect when especially when something's really reactionary. The other thing I wanted to say too is like, there's this real gross entitlement among YouTubers. Um, Small channel, large channel, doesn't matter. But when they start wanting to collaborate with more people they want to talk to, people they want to help promote their stuff, and the other person just does not have the time or the resources because of life, family, art, whatever the case is. And there's this kind of entitlement saying, let's collaborate, come on. And there's like this push, this pressure, like, okay, what time are you available? And it's like, cut the person a little break. Like maybe they don't even want to collaborate with you. um I see the appeal of collaboration, but I'm very happy also just to be by myself and talking. I mean, Professor Geek and I don't even collaborate. Like we're not on each other's streams either. Like in a way, I kind of like that. Like I like him. I like listening to him talk about the stuff he likes to talk about. I talk about stuff I like to talk about, and it's a really good arrangement. All right, continuing on. Looks like you guys are chatting amongst yourself or yourselves. Okay. Well, that's good. Private Eye talking to your goddaughter or giving your goddaughter a classic Mickey Mouse comic. That's good. Good. Yeah, like plant little seeds, Plant little seeds. When people talk about like we don't know the meaning of Star Wars anymore, it's like, well, that's on you. You need to be sure that people know what Star Wars is. All right. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to say. We'll end it there because it's almost 8 o'clock and it's almost time for me to have date night with Stargate. See, we go to the DVDs. We have videos. We have DVDs of a lot of the stuff. Um, you know, uh, like with Alyssa, she just likes the app on her phone. It's kind of specific to that. It's not that she watches Disney Plus. She just has it so she can. Well, maybe she does view some of the children's stuff. I'm not sure. But just to have the app on the phone, so it's kind of a process to just say, oh, well, we'll have that next month, or we'll have that later if it's not on. So it's definitely a process. But we have a lot of DVDs, a lot of VHS, a lot of good stuff, and physical books. And I'd like to say too that I'm very serious. I mean, it's gonna be a work in progress, but I'm very serious about selling stories, paperback, selling music on a CD. I think that's very, very important. So anyway, we will leave it at that. So thank you so much for coming in a little bit later than normal and just talking about some random stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all of that. So until I see you next, keep producing, promoting, and preserving that wonderful art that you love, and I will catch you later. Thanks.